So we talk about leadership and perhaps the lack of leadership in every avenue we turn. We heard about the police perhaps getting reports of xenophobia and doing nothing about it. We turn on our television sets, we look at what's happening in Parliament. We see fighting in Parliament. We see fighting when it comes to service delivery protests on our street. You go home and perhaps the wrong example is being set to our children. So leadership is a very, very big issue. Nomfundo, I know that you're very passionate about it because it's something that you've spoken about since the beginning of this. So what needs to be done when it comes to leadership to change the situation?
Leon, the first one is leaders to deal with their own woundedness. We've got wounded fathers, wounded leaders, wounded politicians that are leading us. And that affects what triggers you. They also respond through issues by using violence. It also affects what is it that you are actually hearing. We've got leaders who only respond through violence. Focusing on your own healing as a leader is not a luxury anymore in South Africa. It is a necessity because a wounded leader fuels the violence. It also responds how you respond to things. The dehumanization, the devaluing of people comes from leadership, and it feeds again into the problem that we have. The delayed response to problems when they actually take place, the denial of problems around leadership, that again feeds into the problem that we have. Most importantly, the dysfunctional institutions that are creating a frustration from people. We need leaders who seriously take building of institutions. When you build your institution, when you make it work, the family, the home, the health, you are actually preventing violence in doing that. And finally, we need role models.
Yeah.
There are other people who can step into the leadership, but they only look up to government, who can show, especially men, who can show that you can actually live a life that is non-violent. Young people are looking for different ways of engaging, ranging from the kind of utterances that we bring when the leaders talk in public spaces or they actually talk into the media. So leadership is really crucial, and most importantly, it's not just the politicians. We're relying too much on saying government must take leadership. You can take leadership as a parent in your house, as a teacher at school, in terms of how you deal with violence and how you perpetuate that violence.
It seems like there's an over-dependence on government to do everything. Well, we're not doing enough for ourselves. And I think it was research that was done by your organization that showed that one of the biggest causes of this violent society is poor child rearing. And that goes down to parenting. That's my fault. It's my fault for not treating my children the way they should be when they do something wrong and setting the right example in my house. Would you agree with this?
I mean, I agree fully with that, because I think we need a comprehensive strategy around parenting skills, around creating dialogues in our homes, in our communities, in our schools, in our churches, almost everywhere. And I think a conversation of this nature, there's always been my criticism of the media. I mean, to say we wait for things to happen, and in fact we need to have dialogues of this nature, where we have an hour or more than that, where we discuss what are the causes and what is it that can be done, to prevent violence in our country.
Another problem, leadership is one issue, and I hope we've spoken about it extensively. We don't have enough time, as you can see, then it's always running away with us. But Pali, one of the big problems, and I imagine in your research, what you can also see is this over-dependence on an inefficient criminal justice system. Perhaps what we need to do is also look at the criminal justice system, because you see pending cases, you also see people going through the justice system, perhaps serving time and being worse off coming out than they were going in. Is this something that your studies have found?
Well, I mean, we look at victims of crime and look at repeated being victims of crime. That shows it's an inefficient system that deals with crime. But I want to go back to this issue of parenting, because I think that's where matters start. I mean, parenting is a responsibility, and bringing life is a major responsibility. But there's a very interesting statistic that we haven't taken care of in South Africa. When you look at issues of marriage, of course the marriage institution is in trouble in the whole world, so there isn't anything unique that it is about South Africa. But there's something unique about it, which is, if you ask women about whether they are married, 30% of them say they are married. Men, 60% say they are married. That disjuncture of 60%, twice the number of people, men saying they are married, when half of those say they are married in terms of women, shows a schizophrenic environment around the institution of marriage and relations and childbearing. So the statistics point to a very broken society.
That's it.
Because if this 60% of men say they are married, who are they married to when 30% of the women say they are married? At least there must be 50-50. But when there is half saying they are married against 60 who take their married, the women are actually saying these men have not taken responsibility. And in terms of mortality statistics and orphanhood, paternal orphanhood is so high and is of people who are still alive. So their economic and social responsibility in terms of those, they are dead, men are dead in the lives of their children and their wives or women.
Yeah.
So there is this disjuncture and it's showing in the numbers.
Yeah.
But it's not so much a matter of numbers, it's actually getting into the problem itself and solving it.
Well, there you go. I think one of the biggest things to come out of this particular discussion is the fact that family values need to be corrected. Look inside your family, and that's where the problems are coming from. Why is it that the youth are the ones that are struggling today? Perhaps it's you. Perhaps you need to do something about yourself and the way you're bringing up your children and those around you and how you treat those around you. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll see you after this.